The cafe fell silent the moment she said it. "You don't belong here." The words left Jessica's lips sharper than she intended, slicing through the hum of morning chatter. The young man standing at the counter froze, his hand still resting on the coffee cup she had just refused to serve. His calm brown eyes didn't flicker with anger, only something deeper. Pain. Jessica, the shift supervisor at Brewhouse Cafe, stood behind the counter, her neatly tied blonde hair and crisp uniform giving her a sense of control she clung to. She'd dealt with rude customers before, but this wasn't about attitude. It was about the way he looked. His hoodie was dusty, his boots worn, and the faint scar above his brow made her uneasy. Before moving forward, join the movement. Subscribe now and turn on notifications to never miss a story that could open hearts and inspire real change. The man, tall, broad-shouldered, probably in his late 20s, said quietly, "I was just asking for a coffee, black, no sugar." "I said we're closing soon," Jessica lied, her heart thumping as she glanced at the door. The cafe wasn't closing. It was only 6 p.m. A few customers nearby shifted in discomfort. The man nodded slowly, the corners of his mouth tightening. Then he reached into his jacket pocket. Jessica's breath caught. Her hand instinctively moved closer to the phone under the counter. But when he pulled out what he was reaching for, the room went still. It wasn't a weapon. It was a badge. Detective Malik Harris, LAPD, he said softly, his voice steady but his eyes tired. "I'm investigating the hate graffiti that was sprayed on your cafe window last night." Jessica's stomach dropped. The "Get Out" painted in red had startled her that morning, but she had brushed it off as random vandalism. Now, every word she'd just said felt like a cruel echo of that message. I didn't know," she stammered, her cheeks burning. The customers turned their eyes toward her, whispers starting to ripple. Malik sighed, sliding the badge back into his jacket. "I know you didn't," he replied, "but I get that a lot." He turned to leave, but Jessica blurted out, "Wait, please, can I at least get you that coffee?" He hesitated. Then, with a faint, almost weary smile, he said, "Sure, black, no sugar." As she poured the coffee, Jessica's hands trembled slightly. Her mind replayed what she'd said. "You don't belong here." She'd meant to protect the place, to act professional, but what she really saw in that moment was her own prejudice, subtle, unspoken, but real. She slid the cup across the counter. "On the house," she said softly. Malik took a sip, nodding in thanks. "You're new here, right?" "3 months," she replied, trying to smile. "I didn't mean you did," he interrupted gently. "But that's okay. Most people don't realize how fast they make judgments until it's too late." His tone wasn't cruel, just honest. He looked around the cafe, noticing the nervous glances from a few customers, the way the barista at the back avoided his eyes. "This isn't the first time I've walked into a place and felt like I didn't belong," he said quietly. Jessica swallowed hard. "How do you just not get angry?" he exhaled. "I used to. But then I remembered, anger doesn't fix the way people see you. It just proves them right in their eyes." For a moment, neither spoke. The rain outside tapped gently against the window, washing away the faint outline of last night's graffiti. Jessica's chest tightened as guilt settled in. A few minutes later, Malik stood to leave. Jessica followed him to the door. "Detective," she said softly. "Thank you." "For not walking out angry," he gave her a faint smile. "People make mistakes. What matters is what they do next." Then he nodded politely and stepped into the rain, pulling up his hood. Jessica stood there, watching as he walked toward his unmarked car. Just before he got in, he paused, looking back at the cafe window where the graffiti had been cleaned. His eyes met hers through the glass for a brief second. He raised his coffee in a silent gesture of peace, then drove away. The next morning, Jessica arrived early to open the cafe. But something stopped her in her tracks. Taped to the door was a small note inside a clear plastic bag, shielded from the drizzle. It read, "Thank you for the coffee. Keep the doors open for everyone. MH." Underneath the note was a photo printout, a young Malik, years earlier, standing in front of a different cafe, one that had burned down after being vandalized. The caption read, "Justice served, but trust takes time." Jessica felt her throat tighten. She went inside and brewed a fresh pot of coffee, placing a small sign on the counter, "Everyone belongs here." When her co-worker Jenna walked in, she asked, "What's that about?" Jessica smiled faintly, wiping her eyes. "A reminder," she whispered. Later that day, as the cafe filled with customers again, Jessica noticed a group of teenagers at the corner table, two of them with hoodies pulled up, looking nervous. She took a deep breath and walked over. "Hey there," she said with a warm smile. "First time here?" They nodded slowly. "Well," she said, setting down their menus, "you belong here." One of them looked up, surprised. "Thanks, ma'am." Jessica smiled and turned away, her eyes landing briefly on the window, where a single drop of rain slid down the glass, like the world washing away what was left of judgment. She whispered to herself, "I guess we all just need someone to look twice."